The Rell Seas movie dropped, it came, and it delivered. Today I'm going to be telling you guys 50 things you might have missed out on in the Rell Seas movie. And quick disclaimer, I'm not going to be going over things that were said or shown in the video. I'm going over things that you guys might have missed, so keep that in mind. I'll also be talking about things that were vaguely explained, again, that you could have easily missed out on. With that in mind, let's get straight into this. The first thing comes straight at the beginning of the Rell Seas movie. Again, you could have easily missed out on this, but there are 3 character slots, and I'm only going to assume because the Rell brothers said that they don't really want to lock this game behind paid wars, that all 3 of these slots may be free. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Second thing is spotted immediately as soon as they get into the game. Now, if you do notice here, there is a level. It says level 0. Now, we do know the game isn't going to be linear, and originally there was a misconception among the community and even myself if there was actually going to be levels in the game. A lot of us thought it may be something similar to how Rogue Lineage does the progression, but a lot of people may have missed that. There are levels. The next one we spot quite instantly as well. If you are able to see, picking races is a choice. There is no spin system for race. Now, I know it says it right here in bold, and I said we're not going to go over anything obvious and things that you might have missed. But hey, this is an important thing. Moving on to the next point, skin pigment choices are affected by the race you are. Fishman has a blue race, Mink has a pinkish, multicolored. Cyborg has dark, like you can literally turn metallic, which is really interesting. And then human, you have the normal, pigment that we all have in real life. And then Skypeans have the same pigment that humans have. Really interesting, I'm not gonna lie to you. For the next one, you will notice that traits are different depending on whether you pick male or female. Also, another thing you're able to notice if you pay attention, women are muscular. I'm not gonna lie, to counteract this, maybe they should add a muscle tone scale if you want to be slimmer or more muscular. Probably a scale, because I'm not too sure women are gonna want to be muscular. Now over here you see the main traits. Now obviously a lot of people may have not actually read over this. Health, endurance, defense, spiritual, willpower, and luck. Now obviously it's pretty easy to assume what luck is going to be. This could influence critical rates, drop percent chance, and things of that nature. Health is obviously going to impact how much health your character has. Endurance and defense, I'm genuinely curious. Obviously endurance may have something to do with stamina, but we haven't really seen a stamina bar within itself. We have seen SP though, but we haven't seen how SP drains or how stamina drains when you use abilities and things of that nature. Defense, I'm just going to assume, is how much damage you can take over time. Obviously someone with 0 defense will get 1 hit. Someone with 2 defense probably take 2 or 3 hits in order to kill that same person if they had the same health stats. And it's really hard to say for spiritual and willpower. No idea. Now they did say none of the main traits affect how much damage you do with fist, weapon, or even devil fruit. So I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm really curious to see what that does. Now over here, if you see the outfits for male and female, I counted about 8 different outfits in total. Now these are all preset outfits that you can't really change anything other than the color of each of the sets. Obviously there's going to be more drops and clothing in the main game, but I found that quite interesting. If you pay attention here, there are no boobies. Literally no boobies. Here you can see starting weapons. Obviously you have your dagger, katana, spear, and flintlock. And it's usually quite unusual that we get to start with a gun, but I guess this is one of your classes. Light, medium, heavy, and ranged. If you pay attention, you are able to see footsteps on the ground, and it doesn't matter which surface it is, you can always see the footsteps and they gradually disappear. This may be good with some end game content. Maybe you need to attract people whilst you're acting as an assassin, because we do know thief is going to be a subclass. If you're able to look around and see, this looks like a completely new island. We actually haven't seen this island before in any of the past teasers. I'm not gonna lie, it looks like it could be Sandora. It doesn't look like it would be Alabasta. It looks more like a Sandora island. If you pay attention to Rell's sin when walking down the stairs, you can see he has Axe Hand Morgan's axe, which means it's going to be a drop. Now, what I'm really curious is, the axe going to be droppable after defeating the boss, or are you going to need to craft? Is it going to drop a blueprint where you need to craft the actual axe ourselves? And I do have a theory that I want to put out there. I would actually prefer it if the boss has a physical item on them, like quote unquote the axe, it drops the axe. However, if the boss doesn't necessarily have a physical item on them, you can use whatever craftable material you gain from their body in order to craft the weapon, the armor, whatever the case may be. Now, if you pay attention to the left hand corner of the screen, you will notice defend is right click, and I'm assuming that means blocking. And also we see sliding. You can crouch slide. But again, going back to the defending, it's a bit weird. That is a weird control for blocking. Hopefully we can change our keybinds, but then again, I'm not too sure. Now, when it cuts in here, you do see that this is a completely new island to the one they were on before. And if I'm wrong, I guess I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. And if you look here, this is either a different island or the back side of the island. The reason why I say it could be the same islands because of that tower there. But at the same time, this looks like a completely different section. If it is, that is crazy. That means the islands are huge. And if it isn't, well, it isn't. Now, if you pay attention to the wood over here, you can see the wood looks completely different to the trees and the logs that we've seen around. This wood is specifically crafting wood, which is actually really cool. We're going to chop down the trees and get this wood. And obviously, we're going to use that in order to craft materials, items, whatever the case may be. Now, within that same screenshot, if you pay attention here, you can see different variations of meat. We don't care about the fruits and the other stuff, but I'm assuming this is a meat. Obviously, this looks like some sort of chicken leg or turkey leg. Then over here, you see some sort of sausage. And then within this scene here, you get the back angle a little bit more clear. This is a sort of meat. This is another meat. This is another meat. And this is another meat. And then this looks like some sort of dinosaur or big monster type of meat. And if you count all the meats I've seen, or I think I've seen, that's about 7 different types of meat that come from different variations of maybe animals. I'd assume something like a bear and a horse would have the same meat or the same thickness or cut of meat. And then obviously you got the big boys that have these giant pieces of meat. Again, we don't know, but I'm genuinely curious to see the different types of animals that we're going to be able to obtain meat from. No homo. Now, if you pay attention when he's walking up, you can see he is buying a picklock. You are actually able to not only buy picklocks, you are also able to craft picklocks yourself. And also, if you didn't notice, you're able to see the item and the rarity of the item that you're picking up, which is pretty cool. Now, if you pay attention to his inventory on Avatar, you are able to toggle on and off your hair and beard. I'm assuming the green boxes are something you are able to toggle. It would only make sense, which means you could go bald, like completely bald. If you pay attention to the UI here, you have 8 different accessory slots. You have cape, you have necklace, you have things that you're able to put on your face, headwear, gloves, shoes, pants, and chest clothing, stuff like jackets and shirts. Also, if you look down here, different items are able to have different grades, and they also have some sort of points, and it shows their level. Obviously, I'm going to assume points meet some sort of upgrade system, or the amount of times you need to upgrade it in order to get your grade up. Again, we don't know, but that will be genuinely interesting. If you look at the same UI, you are able to see crafting recipes. And obviously, here is the crafting stuff. These are all placeholders, so don't worry, it's not going to cost wood to craft the part. However, you can see it shows the items that you need in order to actually craft the item. Within the same page, you are able to see your ship stats. Over here, you're able to see your ship perks, which are things that you're able to place on your ship and use to upgrade your ship. And over here, we have different inventory tabs. Now, I'm not too sure what this one is going to mean. Maybe it just means everything in general. This is probably going to be so you can only see weapons in your inventory. Obviously, this is going to be the devil fruit tab to show your devil fruits. This is going to be crafting materials. This is going to be items that you need in order to cook, so your cooking materials. There's going to be your clothing. This is going to be your mounts, and this is going to be where you hold your ships. Now, over on the talents page, you have a RuneScape style talent mastery system. Obviously, you have your fishing over here, and it's 0 out of 500 points. If you've ever played a game like RuneScape, you would know, let's say you're a noob, it would probably be 0 out of 20, and then you get it to 20, and then it increases the mastery level for, let's say, fishing, and then it increases until you get your max fishing mastery stat. Again, I don't know if the Rell brothers have ever played RuneScape, but this is clearly inspired by something like it, and it will be genuinely interesting if they're going down the RuneScape talent mastery, stat mastery, ability mastery route. Over here you have your character grade, which is super interesting. Here you have F through A. Now I'm assuming once you get to A, it probably moves you on to the next level, like your character's level. But again, I don't know, and I'm just gonna assume it's either that or your character grade slowly increases as you get your talent masteries up. Again, I would just have to assume it resets your character grade, or eventually, once everything is maxed out, it will go to A. Again, we're gonna have to wait and see. Really interesting concept though. I want to see what this feature really does. Here you can see your character's reputation. Now, this is super interesting. As you can see, it's in the middle bar, and Rell Bad is clearly a pirate, or he doesn't look like a marine at least. So obviously you can see here he's neutral, and then going to the right is going to be good, and going to the left is going to be bad. So I'm assuming even as a marine it's the same. You can have a bad character reputation and be a marine. So you can be an evil marine and a good marine, good pirate, bad pirate. That wasn't one of the suggestions that was happening in the podcast that were happening yesterday. Really, really interesting. This probably affects interactions with NPCs as well. Remember, if you're a bad pirate, I'm assuming Marines are just going to jump on you every time they see you. And if you're a good pirate, maybe Marines ignore you? That would be really interesting. You would have a reason to keep your reputation good. Okay, over here is really interesting. Well, it's not that interesting, but it's a good feature to have. You need to not only click on the item you want to pick up in general, you need to click on the pickup. So it's like confirming whether or not you want to pick it up without there being a big indicator that makes you say confirm whether you want to drop this item or pick up this item. So it's really quick, and it's a way of making sure that players don't accidentally pick up things that they don't want. But I would hope that they can make that transition smoother, because it looks a little bit clunky. Yeah. Here you are actually able to see that there is a bunch of weapons in the inventory, and some of them you might recognize from when they were showing the concept arts on their Twitter. And when they scroll down, you are also able to see mounts. Now I'm going to go back a little bit so we can pause it at the right time. Okay, so here you can also see that mounts have a different color around them, which is super interesting. And also the foods have a different color around them as well. Now this could be one of two things. I'm assuming it's either the rarity of the mounts, which is why it has a light or a purple color around them, rare. And you can see this one doesn't. And I think this is a food. I'm pretty sure this is a food. Wait for it to load in. Yeah, this is food. So this is also food material, and it's a different color. So I'm assuming it could be rarity, but I'm also think it could just be when you're looking at stuff in your inventory that it shades it a different color so that you're able to notice the difference between the things. But then again, that point contradicts itself, because some of the food here is also a different color. So I'm genuinely going to assume the colors mean some sort of rarity. Now the weapons don't have it. Probably they haven't added that feature for the weapons yet. Here we are able to see the stat points. Now this is a really interesting. I'm assuming that these two are going to be max level, so on release we're gonna have 1,000 stat points to play with once we reach max level or max trait. I don't know how the max progress. And again, Rell Bad said that the stat points and everything in this stat tree or trait tree isn't going to affect how much damage you deal with like swords and wands, abilities, etc. Devil fruit abilities. So I want to see how we're going to be able to increase our fruit stats, our weapon stats, our frisk stats, etc. There are going to be 12 different chest types. Now I'm super interested to see in what scenarios you get these different types of chests. And obviously some of them are bigger than the others, so we know which ones are going to be rare now. Now if you pay attention here, the NPCs completely interact with each other. And I mean they have the whole own conversation with each other. And then after having a conversation, they walk away. NPC interaction is quite in depth. Apparently you gain EXP from selling items to different players. That is a great, beautiful way of progression, and I can't wait to be a merchant. I do recommend giving players the option to purchase stands or merchant stands in order to actually sell efficiently, because having a bag on the floor, a lot of people might overlook that. Now if you remember before in the video, Rell had neutral rev. Now this marine walks right past him even though he's a pirate and doesn't attack him. I am assuming if you have neutral reputation, marines don't come to hunt you down. You can see here, as soon as the T-Rex spawns, it aggroes to the nearest player / NPC that is alive and starts attacking them. As well as that, you can see it has different attack patterns and it has some sort of AoE fire attack, or the red indicator is just the area of effect of where the attack damage is going to be. Now over here you can see he does an execution. Now executions either one-shot players or just ragdolls a player after doing them. Soul Guitar? Does that mean we're going to be getting a Brook or a Soul King boss spawn? Super interesting, super interested to see how that goes. Now this one's super interesting. Here you can see he has 2 swords in his inventory, and obviously he's putting one sword back in the sheath and bringing it back out again to show the animation. And here he brings out the second sword, and you can see that the second sword has abilities. Now I'm just going to assume that 2 sword style, or that he doesn't have 2 sword style equipped, so he can't actually use both of them at the same time. But I really think it's a cool feature that both the swords he has equipped are both sheathed. How many swords are we going to be able to have sheathed on our character at a time? And 3 sword style? Hello? 2 sword style maybe? Now whilst doing an M1 string and comboing someone and tilting them upwards, you are actually able to knock your player into the ceiling, which is kind of cool. Like they can get stuck there. Look at that. Pretty cool. Now if you pay attention to the water, there is a bear floating. Now it's not aggro to anyone right now. However, this simply means that mobs and monsters that you're running away from are going to be able to chase you out to sea. So you're never safe. You're never safe. Kill it. Now as you can see, he unlocked the chest and there's a bunch of crew emblems in here. Now these crew emblems belong to NPCs. I'm assuming, or at least from what was said, it was pretty vague, that once you defeat a crew boss or NPC crew boss or crew leader or whatever, they drop the emblem and you're able to actually redeem that in order to keep that crew for your ship. Or you're able to keep the leader and make him a co-captain on your ship. And remember, this is for the NPCs, not for the actual players. Obviously, players aren't going to drop crew emblems. There are 20 different variables that are going to be able to be changed on your ship. You have your ship type. On ship type, you have the front, the deck, and 2 deck areas depending on the ship you have. If it's a big ship, there's 2 deck areas that are able to be customized. The rear area, the flag options, front, middle, rear, whatever. On the color plating, you're going to be able to change almost everything. The hull frame, balusters, handrail, and the sleeve. And then you have the color panel here that allows you to completely change. I don't even know what the color panel does, I'll be so real. However, on top of that, you also have things that you're going to be able to customize, whatever these are. So I'm assuming this is co-captain, crewmates. This is going to be the thing that goes in the front of your ship, like the little, I don't know, statue. the cannons, and whatever these two are. These are all customizable things that you're going to be able to do to change your ship. That is beautiful. Ship customization is going to be in detail. Also, depending on the type of ship you have, as you can see there, he's changing the ship thing. Depending on the type of ship you have, depends on the amount of detail you're going to be able to add to your ship, which is really cool. Each ship can be customized differently, which leaves speculation to how you're going to be able to customize warships. Super interested in that. In order to despawn your ship, there either needs to be no players on your ship currently, or your anchors need to be placed down. I'm assuming so, because it was said that if there's players on the ship, if somebody steals your ship, you won't be able to despawn it. So I'm assuming the only way you're going to be able to despawn it is if you have no players on it, or if it's anchored. Now, if you look closely, there's going to be sea eels at the bottom of like the place. Now I'm assuming, or of the dock, I'm assuming that they spawned in there randomly. So if you're near a body of sea, or if you're on the sea mobs are going to be able to randomly spawn, even if you're not completely on the ocean. And as you can see, they follow them onto the ship, or they follow the aggro whilst they go onto the ship. Super interesting. When swimming in the ocean, as you're about to see, there is an air bubble that forms. Obviously, you can only stay underwater for a certain amount of time. When that bubble pops, you are dead. When you're in towns and you attack civilians, you not only get attacked by the Marines guarding that town, you also get attacked by the civilians that have weapons that may be in that town too. When you get knocked by an NPC, if it's a Marine, they send you to jail. But if you get knocked by a civilian or any other player, pirate, etc., they grip the heck out of you. And that is it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys made it to the end. And if you did make it to the end, let me know in the comment section down below. Now, unfortunately, I didn't have time to timestamp each point, but if you guys want to do that for me, be my guest. I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Peace.